episode of the Algorithm Podcast.
Welcome.
Episode, I think it's like 10 or some shit. I don't know. I think
we got to be in double digits
count.
by now.
Yeah, it's something like that. True crime episode today
Let's go.
over the highly popular Netflix documentary, The Murdaugh Murders.
Murdaugh.
A Southern scandal.
God damn, I just look at the screen and I just try to pronounce it how it's spelled. And
Murdaugh.
It's Murdaugh.
Murdaugh.
Murdaugh, yeah. So, over the highly popular Netflix documentary, The Murdaugh Murders. I said dick. The Murdaugh Murders. This is pretty crazy. Like, I mean, I think it was you that had the idea to cover this one.
I don't remember. A lot of people suggested it.
Yeah, one thing I did figure out is like I've like looked for like podcasts and stuff over it. There's not many.
Not a lot.
Because I usually like kind of like take like I like picking people's brains on like stuff like this, and anytime you search it up, it's just like all the fucking news shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we're gonna come with one of the first ones then.
People are probably too afraid to make a podcast
I
about
don't
this,
give
man.
a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Bring his big ass over here.
That's what I was saying. This shit reminds me of Ozark. You might have some of them cartel boys.
Yeah. Honestly, it's fucking insane. Like over 100 years of just one family a polarizing family just being dominant over a small town.
I feel like every small town has that, though.
I was just telling you that earlier. Like, I feel like every small town has that. Just, oh, it's the fucking so-and-sos, just, you know who it is.
And I wonder, what year do we know what year the first part of the series came out?
What year? I think
Yeah.
was it earlier this year or last year?
The first part of it?
It would have been.
So I'm just wondering, did they have all the information when they go to make the first season, to where they have okay, we make the first season and we got all everything loaded for the second season? Because it seems like
the boat crash unraveled all that shit.
Right.
The boat crash was like the downfall. It's like,
so they must have had everything, all the information they needed to make boat.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I think the
it
boat
was the
crash.
first part of 2023 that it came out on Netflix.
Yeah, the boat
I feel like it
crash
was longer than that. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like it was.
That's when I watched it. So I don't, because I'm
She
pretty good
put
about
me on it
catching
'cause
documentaries.
I didn't watch I'm not. I mean, I like doing the true crime stuff, but it's not something I ever watch.
You're just
for
not
either.
like fucking.
Yeah, I don't watch for it either. So
Right,
she's
right.
always on the newest one that came out. So she's like, you gotta watch this shit. This shit's crazy. And I was like, okay. I'm usually like, all right, well, I'll get. But then I'm cooking dinner, and I look in there, and next thing you know, you're zoned in on it. So
Yeah, my favorite part of doing true crime and stuff is we really haven't done one yet. Is the missing person shit.
Yeah.
I love missing persons cases because, especially unsolved ones, because that's when you can really this is what I think happened type shit. That's my favorite.
And I know sometimes when stuff like that happens, there's been podcasters that help solve the case and shit. So
there's
be part of that.
so Court TV, going back to the Delphi case, Court TV has high level podcasters on all the time because these high level podcasters are constantly dissecting the fucking files and shit. They're the ones that are
Well,
actually
probably bringing awareness to it too. For somebody that may not have known, that may know some piece of information about something.
Yeah, so the photos, we haven't even talked about this. So the photos that got leaked of Abby and Libby, so the crime scene photos got leaked. They actually got leaked to podcasters.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, and the podcasters, obviously deleted them, but took them to authorities and they talked about them on the show. They got leaked to podcasters.
Yeah, which we don't want to give too much away right now because we're gonna do an update. But
Yeah. I mean, I
crazy
didn't really
stuff
prepare to
happened.
do that update, but yeah, we definitely have to do one.
we got to do something because the trial's coming up at the beginning of the year too. So.
Yep. Before we get into the Murdaughs, I just feel so fucking weird saying that.
That's how he pronounces his own name.
Yeah, it's Alex Murdaugh, but it looks like Alec Murdaugh.
Yeah.
So
His name is
it's
Alex.
but I think calls himself Alec Murdaugh.
Yeah.
There's
His
no K.
real name is
Alexander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's his middle name, cause he's got a whole he's got a first name.
See, I didn't know that.
Middle name, yeah.
Yeah. Fucking.
Well, I remember I just freshed up. I just now watched the second season, so when they went to read the verdict, they read his full name,
Yeah.
which I thought it was his first.
I guess I
name,
wasn't paying attention because I literally listened to the verdict earlier. I wasn't paying attention
I
to
think
it.
it's Richard, maybe. I might
Probably.
be wrong. I think
He
it's
looks like a
Richard.
Richard.
Like a dick.
He looks like a
Young
dick.
Dixon.
He's like 6'5".
Yeah, brother.
He's a
Yeah.
tall
Yeah, big
motherfucker.
dude. Yeah.
Big old ginger.
You gotta watch out for him.
Follow the socials: Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all
Go
the
watch
goodies.
the shorts on YouTube. That's where we're getting
Watch
a lot
the
of love
shorts.
right
Yeah.
now. Carl's killing the edits.
Our Juice episode did pretty well, but our fucking Ed and Lorraine Warren episode kind of popped a little
Yeah,
bit.
it did pretty good.
People like the spooky stuff.
What was it at, like
Almost 300.
300? Yeah, that's what. Last time I looked, it was like 250.
I only made one short for that video.
Which
I
we
need to
just
make
started,
more.
bro. So that's pretty good growth.
I'm geeked about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good growth.
But let's go ahead and get into the Murdaughs and the travesty that surrounds the entire family in town.
The Murdaugh family is a prominent dynasty of lawyers from the Low Country in South Carolina, with Low Country referring to the distinct cultural and geographical region in the southeast coast of the state. From 1920 through 2006, 3 members of the family served uninterrupted terms as a solicitor, which is known in most jurisdictions of the U.S. as a district attorney, of South Carolina's 14th district. The family also operates the law firm Peters, Murdaugh, Parker, Eltsroth, and Detrick.
Yeah, I think it's either Dietrich or Detrick.
I was going to say Dietrich. Now known as the Parker Law Group.
Murder.
Murdaugh.
The 5-county area that
It's
serves
Tobe.
as the
It's
Dude wasn't gonna let it slide. Sorry, guys.
I'm done. Do you guys want to finish reading that?
No, I'm sorry.
No, you're actually
Okay.
doing fucking phenomenal because I would have fucked up the jurisdiction and shit. You're doing good.
Okay. The 5-county area that serves as the 14th district was the Murdaughs' political dominion for nearly a century. Due to the family's outsized political influence and power, there is a perception, and a correct one, that its members were able to easily escape any kind of trouble or scrutiny for decades. In 2019, that all finally started to change thanks to the actions of none other than Alec himself.
Pill popping animal
Syrup sipping.
for like 20-something years.
Yeah. So that's like one of the crazier things that comes out in the second season of the actual Netflix show is that this dude was like a heavy opiate user, and you know what was it? I can't even remember her name. The Spanish lady that like helped in the house.
Gloria Satterfield?
No, the one that was used to. be
Oh,
law
no,
enforcement.
yeah.
She kind of says, you know, he had drugs everywhere. You know, they would fall out of his pocket. He
I
had
remember
little
seeing
baggies
that, yeah.
everywhere with pills in them.
She didn't really like feel comfortable talking about it.
Yeah, but
So I spent all morning listening to jail calls between him and Buster. And in one of the jail calls, he asked Buster, he goes, "Hey, could you or John Marvin," which John Marvin is the uncle,
Right.
"Can you or John Marvin put some money on," he gives out this dude's name, "Can you put this money on his books, like $60? He can't get canteen or anything, and I can only spend $60 a day, but can you just put it on his books for me?" Like it had been like the 4th time they had asked. Like they played like 4 separate calls. Yeah, pretty much Buster started calling him out like, "What you're doing is looking highly suspicious. Like it's almost like you're asking for money to get drugs in jail."
all right.
Yeah.
When he
And
said, "I can only spend $60 a day," who needs to spend
and
that
he
much
was
money
like,
a day?
ibuprofen is $15, and I can only spend $60 a day, and I needed my beef sticks and stuff like that, and constantly asking for money. Like, and he made it like a point, like, "Can you get a hold of John Marvin? Please tell him to put this money on this guy's books." Like an addict. Like, get the money. I need the money. I need it. It was bad. Yeah. I'll have to let you listen to those fucking jail calls because it gets really.
I wish I knew about him before.
I just found out about it today. It gets like between him and Buster, it gets like really, really, really personal.
Mhm.
Like it's crazy.
One of the challenging things about fully understanding the scope of the Murdaugh story is comprehending its timeline. Though Alex Murdaugh and other Murdaugh family members began committing crimes in 2014 or earlier, the inciting incident for their ultimate downfall begins in 2019. This is when most folks outside of South Carolina became aware of the Murdaugh name, and it's wisely where Murdaugh Murders elects to begin its story. On February 23rd, 2019, a group of South Carolina teenagers decided to spend the Saturday night drinking. Included in this group was Alex Murdaugh's youngest son, Paul Murdaugh. As the night progressed, Paul and his friends decided to head to an oyster roast on a nearby Hawkeye Island via a Murdaugh family boat. Despite being increasingly intoxicated, Paul Murdaugh insisted on driving the boat. He also insisted on heading to the waterfront bar in downtown Beaufort, where he ordered two rounds of shots, while his annoyed friends waited outside.
Yeah, Paul used Buster's ID to get alcohol.
So is this on the boat part, like when they were driving to the bar, is this where the argument started with everybody on the boat?
I didn't know. I mean,
Hadn't it started a little bit at that point?
kinda, but fucking, they said anytime Paul had got drunk, he had like a different personality.
Yeah.
He would turn into what they called him Timmy.
Yeah.
When he got drunk, and
Yeah,
like you could see it in the surveillance footage. Like, dude was fucked up.
Yeah.
He was fucked.
lit.
So I mean, he's just one of those dudes that you're around when you're drunk. He just wants to fucking
Drunk
fight
white
everybody.
guys. Go.
Yeah, but I didn't know he used Buster's ID to get that shit. I mean, I guess
They
they
really, I mean, other than having red hair, they really
They
don't
That's what
look
I'm
that much
saying.
alike.
Yeah.
They look alike, but they don't.
Buster
not
was
enough to
built
use the
more
same
like his
ID.
dad, I think. He was
Yeah,
like-
yeah, and Paul looked more like Maggie.
yeah. They had
Yeah.
they could probably pass for each other. Cause they
I
both
guess
had,
I'd have to see the
flaming
ID
red hair.
photos.
Yeah. But yeah, he had more of the, I don't know. He was built.
If you just go up to the fucking liquor store and you just
Yeah.
flash your ID and you're a ginger, all gingers look alike. Don't cut that out. Red hair, yeah, you're good, bro.
Just lost a follower, buddy.
You're good.
Around 1:15 a.m., the group reboarded the boat with Paul still driving over the objections of his friends. Paul soon began driving erratically, and by 2:20 a.m., the boat had crashed into Archer's Creek Bridge. After regaining their balance and senses, the 6 occupants of the boat regrouped to discover that one of their own, Mallory Beach, was missing. Ultimately, Mallory's body was discovered on March 3rd, about 5 miles downriver from the crash scene. On April 18th, Paul Murdaugh was indicted and charged with 3 felony counts, including boating under the influence, causing the death of Beach, and injuring his friends. While this was a tragic enough story to begin with, what elevated it in the public eye was the influential players involved. Paul is the platonic ideal of the spoiled rich boy archetype, and the police arriving on the scene of the accident certainly treated him as such. Despite being visibly hammered and underage, Paul was not given a field sobriety test, taken to jail for booking, or even handcuffed. Meanwhile, Paul's equally spoiled rich boy father, Alex, immediately sprung into action after the accident. While police were still searching for Mallory, Alex arrived at the hospital and went room to room to speak with the survivors. Several claim that he tried to get them all on the same page and assert that Paul wasn't driving the boat. As bleak as this whole state of affairs was, it might still have faded away into history as an unfortunate case of hyper-local corruption. Thanks to what came next, however, the death of Mallory Beach was merely the opening salvo of a larger story.
When they're on the boat, which you can definitely see on the Netflix documentary, they talk a lot about how a fight kind of broke out on the boat. Was it him and his girlfriend that were arguing?
Paul, his
Yeah.
girlfriend, yeah, he actually fucking hit her.
Yeah, he hit her on the boat, and multiple times while they're on the boat, he was literally leaving the steering wheel or whatever you want to call it unattended. He was like walking away from it. So.
I think everybody was just over Paul's shit that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were all fucking like scared to death because like Paul was so adamant about like not letting anybody else drive that boat. Like,
Right, and it's like if you just stand up and knock Paul out, what's going to happen to you after that? You know what I mean, that's probably more along the lines of like, hey, if we do something, step in, you know what I mean, what could happen to us?
yeah, so the fact that there was a scene in the, I think it's the first part when they get all the kids out and all the cops are like questioning them and stuff like that. Mallory's boyfriend looks at one of the cops and he says, do you know Alec Murdaugh? He was like, and the cop goes like, yeah, I've heard that name. He goes, that's his son. Good luck. You know, that should tell you right there, like the reach that these dudes have.
Right.
And for Paul not to get a, what was that, a field sobriety test? He never got
Nothing.
That's nothing.
Yeah, he never got a sobriety test. He never even got handcuffed. And Alec is immediately going and telling people like he wasn't driving. They were already scheming.
I think
Trying to
they even
manipulate
tried-
everybody else.
I think they even tried to say that one of the other guys was driving, trying to put
Yeah, it was old girl's boyfriend. I don't remember his name. It was the kid that got the scar on his lip. But yeah, he actually tried to like sue them for like I don't want to say it was defamation, but he tried to sue them for that.
All right.
Yeah. On June 7th, 2021 at 10:06 p.m., Alex Murdaugh called 911 and reported he had discovered the dead bodies of his son Paul and his wife Maggie near dog kennels at their hunting lodge. Police later determined that both had been shot multiple times with multiple guns. You may recognize the name Paul Murdaugh from 3 seconds ago when we talked about him accidentally killing Mallory Beach. Now Paul, just 22 years old and facing 3 felony counts, was dead. Naturally, many people began to wonder if Paul and Maggie's murder was connected to the boating case. South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, SLED, certainly did. By October of that year, SLED had indicated that none other than Alex Murdaugh was a person of interest in the case. But by July 2022, Alex Murdaugh was indicted with several charges, including 2 counts of murder. That's right, Alex Murdaugh allegedly murdered his estranged wife and youngest son. But why, though? That's the question that the prosecution had to answer in the state of Carolina versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh trial. Yep, you're right.
Dick.
Revelations that have come out since Murdaugh's arrest, however, suggest that Alex may have been attempting to create a distraction to forestall the collapse of the house of cards that was his life.
So not only is he, being charged with the murder of his wife and son, there's other things. He resigned from his job, the law firm that he was at. Allegedly, he was stealing money from his deceased clients.
$4.7 million.
A lot of money.
Yep, and that day is the same exact day that the accounting attorney or whoever from the law firm called him out on it, and he admitted to it and resigned from the firm. So
and they said like she was like super no nonsense at all. Like,
yeah,
she wasn't gonna let that shit fly at all.
No, and so you gotta think, you put yourself in Alex's shoes. That's the firm that your family was so powerful in, and you're the 4th generation, 3rd generation. You're supposed to be carrying the torch, and then you're the shame. Like, you bring a lot of shame upon it. So
yeah, like there's like two different ways that like kind of like like you said, his life's kind of spiraling out of control, and then there's like so many other allegations too. It's like, is it all together? You know what I mean? Like, is all this stuff true, or is it just like okay? Because I mean, still at the end of the day, why do you go kill your wife? And, is it just something where he snapped because he is spiraling out of control, or did they know something where they gonna go and say something, snitch on him, whatever it may be? I don't know. There's just so many directions it pulls you in.
I thought I heard someone say Maggie was like, his wife was like onto the shit.
Yeah.
And she was like kind of like catching on to what he was doing and shit. You also have to think the pills too.
Yeah.
Like that shit, dude. I'm telling you.
I don't remember anybody having anything bad to say about Maggie.
No.
So no, nobody had anything. I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but
No, okay.
nobody had anything bad to say about her. But also, she had a separate life too. Like, she had some shit going on behind the scenes too.
Everybody does, but anything like Alec, he's scandalous. You can't use power to threaten people and manipulate people. And in this case, it proved that you can't. No matter how powerful you are, some people are just, they can't be manipulated.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that I don't know why I can't remember her name, but the chick I spoke on earlier that used to be I think she was like a
the
Spanish lady.
Yeah.
It seemed like a lot of the stuff that she didn't want to talk about it was kind of more of the family stuff. It seems like she knew a lot more than what she even came out and said on the show. So
yeah, how like their home life was and stuff. Oh yeah, I'm sure there's a fuck ton of shit that we don't know about.
It seems like she was really loyal to Maggie too. Like,
yeah.
Gloria?
No. Gloria is the one that died. There was another one. She was in the second part. She was an Hispanic
Michelle?
lady. Maybe Michelle.
As previously stated, though this story begins in 2019, Alex Murdaugh has been breaking the law for far longer. The Mallory Beach incident led to Murdaugh's legal career coming under scrutiny by SLED, other lawyers representing Murdaugh's victims, and Murdaugh's own law firm. Ultimately, it was discovered that Murdaugh had embezzled funds from the firm, leading to his dismissal in September 2021. Meanwhile, an attorney named Justin Bamberg began investigating Murdaugh's finances on behalf of 8 people who claim Murdaugh victimized them. Bamberg theorizes that Murdaugh may have defrauded 30 to 50 people to the tune of $20 million. Ultimately, the 88 indictments for financial fraud amounted to around $9 million. It turns out that Alex Murdaugh had a nasty habit of winning financial settlements on behalf of his clients and then just keeping the money. Several of these clients were deceased victims of vehicular accidents who Murdaugh sued on behalf of and then never delivered the winnings to the next of kin. Worst of all, with at least one of the deceased clients, it's suspected that Murdaugh may have assisted with their death.
That's interesting. So, dude just knew how to play the fucking system.
Her name, the chick I was talking about, it was Bianca.
Bianca.
Yeah.
She's the housekeeper.
Yeah, and she was like the wife's best friend. She ended up. I don't know if you guys remember the second season. She was the one that ended up with the dog.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a lot of crazy stuff was going on, man. It's like I think it is just like a cumulative thing where his whole life was just spiraling out of control. And on top of that, being on drugs, kind of.
I was gonna say that'll do that to you. That alone.
Yeah. Getting in that whole world, man. That's why I was kind of telling you guys before the show. Like I think a lot of people are kind of naive, like to some of the evil that just is going on right under your nose. And they might have looked at these people as powerful. You know what I mean? But like, they lived a whole completely different life that people didn't know about until this boat crash.
I think he was fucking naive to it himself.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
I think that shit was just fucking natural to him.
I think we talked about it earlier at work. It's people, they get to that, they have that power. They start feeling invincible. And I mean, obviously you could see it with Paul at a very young age.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Paul was like the black sheep of his family. Like he's the one that. So Buster went to the USC, the University of South Carolina Law School. He got kicked out for a cheating scandal, but I think he's in the works of getting readmitted back in, or he's already readmitted back in. But Paul, on the other hand, wanted nothing to do with law. Like he didn't want to be like his life was hunting and taking care of the dogs, like home life. Yeah, that was what he was, and so and Maggie, actually, I think they say this too. Like Maggie took more fond of Paul, or not Paul, but Buster too. Like Buster was like the shine, like the glory son, and Paul was kind of like the black sheep.
Definitely, and that's even speaking of some more stuff from that first season. That's there's even speculation that Maggie might have been the one that pushed what was her name?
Gloria.
Satterfield or whatever.
Yeah, because Gloria had a really like a mother. I think they might have even called her mom too. Like had a really mother-son relationship with Paul and Buster too. But she absolutely loved Paul. Yeah. And I mean, Maggie might have been a little bit jealous of that shit. That's what I'm saying. Like Maggie's the one that's like really suspected of doing that shit.
Yeah. And it's so crazy, just like even her kind of just that whole family just has this power trip thing. It seems like that just led to their downfall.
Now that we know how big of a fucking liar that Alec is he's the one that gave Maggie her alibi, saying that Gloria tripped from the top of the stairs over their dog. He's a fucking liar.
Yeah, and I mean, being a lawyer on top of that, you probably get to the point where like the law so well you feel like you can talk yourself out.
You gotta play people too.
Yeah. And he actually, going back to that previous paragraph that you read about how he would, sue on behalf of dead victims and not give the money to their families. He did that with Gloria Satterfield. So he sued on her behalf. Well, he told her sons to sue him on her behalf for $500,000.
And then he represented her.
And for $500,000, and he would give the sons $100,000 apiece. They sued. They won the case. He kept all the money, $500,000. Yeah. It's like, dude knew how to play that fucking wrongful death lawsuit shit. Like,
yeah, and it's like
that should have been a conflict of interest, though. He shouldn't have been able to represent.
See, I don't
with
think
it happening on his
I don't
property.
think he had her sons
But
sue
how
him.
could they have gotten the money if he didn't represent them?
That's a good question. He had one of his friends from the firm represent them.
Yeah, so
I
it's
found that
staying
out
all in-house.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Good question. I forgot.
Then
about
how
that.
could that attorney have legally written a check to Alec?
He didn't?
It goes to the
No,
law
he
firm,
didn't.
and
Alec's insurance wrote it to the boys, but Alec was allowed to cash it out on their behalf.
How? If he wasn't representing
That's
them?
how.
I
That's
would
how it
love
happened.
to know
Yeah,
that.
that's how it happened. Yeah, Alec was allowed to cash that check. He got $500,000, and they didn't see
Well,
a
it's
dime
just
of
like,
it.
you know, they're in that small town, and these people are very powerful in that town. It's like,
They know these fucking
just
loopholes.
just
dude.
go back to, you know, when Paul wrecked the boat. Like, literally, the kid didn't get handcuffed, didn't get, like, just that stuff sliding. Like, what else slides? You know?
And I mean, it's a family of fucking lawyers and fucking district. I mean, they knew all of those fucking loopholes.
Nobody should ever be able to be that powerful. If you break the law, you break the law.
Yeah.
So
Period. I mean,
this-
you deal with the repercussions of it.
At some point on this show, we are going to cover the 5 families.
Yeah.
And the Murdaughs are like a small miniature version of these 5
they're
families.
5 families, yeah.
There's families that control the fucking world,
Yeah.
like literally, that are just like this.
I was gonna say too, like one of the things, like they thought, like I said it earlier, they thought they had these people kind of on their side, and Bianca was one of them that just wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, and even the things that I talked about, like things slipping through the cracks, just because they were who they were. Like the day after the murder, bro. Like his brother was at the crime scene for hours. He asked, like Alec called her in the morning, asked her to come and clean the whole house, just so because there was going to be a bunch of people there. Like he thought he had these people on the side until they eventually. I mean, you know, some people have that conscience to where like they can't do stuff like that. Like,
The caregiver too, and she goes on to talk about that in her interview that she did for the Netflix series, and then you even see her crying in the courtroom when she has to testify against him, and it was probably out of fear,
Yeah.
but knowing at the end of the day, like, I have to tell the truth and do what's right.
Yeah. Getting back to the point that you just made, like how his family supported him and shit. They supported him and believed him
until the
all the
video.
way up until that video got released during the trial.
They made that a big point, like
Because-
in Netflix, like they were like knucking him up, he would turn around in
Yeah.
between, you know, whoever was on the stand, or you know.
They firmly
or whatever.
believed his alibi until Paul's video
video.
fucking put him at the scene. It's fucking wild. So Paul, I found this out too. It looked, when they discovered Paul's body, it had looked like he had been sprayed off with a water, like a hose. He was that wet.
Yeah.
And they go to get the phone out from him, and the phone was bone dry, like it had been fucked with. Like Alec was trying to fuck
Well,
with it.
he even said that in the initial interview with the police. Like they put him in the police car, and they went in. He said something about like he literally said, I think word for word, I went and tried to do something with Paul's phone, and then he just kind of leaves that subject.
Yeah,
Right.
because I think he caught himself like, hey, like I shouldn't be saying what I'm fucking saying.
And they made it a big point too, like even when they end up putting him on the stand during the trial, like he was the one that pretty much fucked himself in the end, was going on the stage, or going on the stand, because like one of the guys that was like an expert, or maybe he was on part of the defense or for the state, he kind of said like I would never have done that. Like I think that was a terrible idea that they even put him on the stand, because he pretty much just talks himself right into the
Yeah, he's a talker.
yeah.
Yeah, the jury came out and said as soon as we heard, 5 minutes after hearing this dude talk, we can see he lied through his teeth.
Yeah.
Jury said that.
Gloria Satterfield was the Murdaugh's family longtime housekeeper. On February 2nd, 2018, she supposedly fell down the front steps of the Murdaugh's estate and received traumatic head injuries, including a stroke, that she later succumbed to on February 26, 2018. Occurring roughly 1 year before the death of Mallory Beach, Gloria Satterfield's case presents the perfect example of how the powerful Murdaugh family often received the benefit of the doubt, whether warranted or not. Satterfield's death was accepted as an accidental trip and fall despite the several suspicious circumstances. No coroner was notified of Satterfield's death, no autopsy was performed, and as the Murdaugh's murders recounts, Alex curiously arrived on the scene before the EMTs did and loudly declared that Satterfield's blamed the dogs for her fall. In the seconds between her falling and losing consciousness, presumably.
Just think about that.
Everything just,
just think
works
about
out
that.
perfect.
Yeah. You fucking trip down the stairs, and as you're falling, dog did it.
Dog did it.
That's
It was a dog.
That's exactly what it just fucking said.
And
I don't mean to laugh, but that's like, how the fuck, like,
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
all that is power.
Yeah.
Like, I'm Alex Murdaugh. That's what happened. They're like, okay, no coroner needed.
Yeah,
Got you, dough.
Because, like, even if you're, like, a police officer in a town like that, bro, do you really want to bring that? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, there's always, like, do the right thing, but at the same time,
That feeling of anxiety that's
Right.
you're fucking either gonna be
you might be the next one.
mysteriously released or fucking even something worse happening.
Dog might come for you next.
Yeah, dog might come for you next. Yeah, fuck, dude. You're on Satterfield's next of kin.
Here we go. Satterfield's next of kin was supposed to receive a substantial insurance settlement due to the accidental death, but Murdaugh's conspired with two fellow attorneys to have the insurance payout diverted to the Murdaugh's account. With the increased scrutiny on Alex Murdaugh's following the murder of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh, Satterfield's murder is now the subject of fresh criminal investigation. If Alex Murdaugh did indeed contribute to Gloria Satterfield's death, it might not be the first time that the Murdaughs killed someone and got away with it. I don't feel like their fucking last name, like I just like tongue
So many
twisted.
times.
Dude, it's so
What was
hard.
that word in the podcast that we did together? Epitome? No. It was
Oh,
the Ed and Lorraine, and it just kept coming up.
Yeah,
every paragraph.
fucking,
And I said, if I have to say this word one more time, I'm gonna scream.
what word was that?
I don't know.
Like,
I'm gonna have to go back.
because it's like you want to say Murdaugh every time, and so
Dude,
like,
that's
telling
how it
yourself not to,
looks.
so I keep, like,
When I was doing this episode, I almost went back through and Murdock just so we didn't
Just,
fuck
yeah.
it up, dude.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Back to the Mallory Beach death, though. Power really speaks volumes because Mallory's family even talks that police, investigators, nobody ever called them about Mallory that night. Ever.
yeah.
Nobody called them the day that they found her. Nobody ever reached out to that poor family. Ever.
I feel so fucking bad, not only for her family, but like it was her two best friends on board and her boyfriend. Like her boyfriend, dude, during that documentary looked fucked. And this is like a few years after the fact.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
man, dude.
And I know he was like real mad at Paul for a long
Oh,
time
yeah,
about it.
dude,
And
he
then
wanted to-
still like even in the second season like had his back though, because he still was like towards the end like they're talking about it, he's like, I think somebody else should be facing these same charges as Alex, and like because I just don't see him killing his own kids. I'm like, bro, like this you see how his son acts like.
Right.
I mean, I don't know, man.
yeah.
He was almost like
It's-
delusional a little bit.
Yeah, it's hard. It's just so hard to fathom that a father. The thing about the tapes that got released, like it didn't sound like there was any like shit going on. And from what I understand is like the deaths occurred between 3 and 5 minutes after that recording.
Yeah,
From-
that's what's weird.
From the
about
last time they locked their phones,
Yeah.
because fucking technology, dude, they
Yeah.
can tell when the last time they locked their phones.
Well, if he was into drugs too, it could have something to do.
With Maggie calling him out or something.
No, like even above him, something that wasn't within his control. Was
Well, yeah,
he
that-
threatened to do it? You know.
Well, and that's kind of what I said. It reminds me of like Ozark because, like, hey, dude, if you're like, you guys have watched Ozark before,
Mhm.
right? So, like, think of like parts in that show where like Paul, or not Paul Rudd,
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman, like his character is just like a
Marty
part of something
Bird.
that he didn't want to be a part of, and just couldn't open his mouth about, bro. Like they literally could have came to him like,
No
hey,
option.
bro. Like because they did say stuff about like the cartel might be involved, or
There was
people
a name. They had a
as
name.
powerful.
Yeah, they had a name for the people that old boy was.
Let's not talk about any names.
no,
let's not.
no, it wasn't like an actual name, but it's like the name of the group.
Yeah,
But-
let's not even do that.
Yeah, they had
Well,
a name for it.
Yeah, when it comes to that stuff, like how many times you see that in that show where like this dude might not even want to have been involved in this, and they just like blow somebody's head off right in front of them, and it's like you have no other option to just shut up and deal with it.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
They could have it could have been 2 other people, and Alex just takes the fall because like, what are you gonna do to these guys?
It's just so fucking weird, dude.
And that's what I'm saying. It pulls you in so many different directions when you really try, because you can see like everything that's going on in Alex's life, like leading to, oh yeah, he probably could have killed him, but at the same time, like all these other allegations that kind of puts him in this position of like, hey dude, you're this really smart, like literally almost like Marty Bird, like you're this really smart guy, like you're powerful in this town.
He knows how to fucking move
you know
money.
how to move money, like you're
Even if
doing
it
that.
wasn't him that did it and it was somebody else, he knew that it was going to happen. With him trying to create an alibi ahead of time,
Yeah.
he knew it was going to happen.
Well, and that's
whether it
what
was
he
him that
said
did
to
it or
the
not.
Eddie guy. He's like, they're gonna be able to prove that I killed him, but he still was like really like distraught a lot of times when they, I mean, even on the tapes where he's like talking, he goes and tries to explain it. Which I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I can see it in so many different ways. Like, you're messed up on some pills that night, you kill your family, and then like, yeah, you probably are fucked up about the next day, and you're gonna cry and be upset about it. But at the same time, like, what if it was somebody else and he just had to sit there and watch his son get his head blown off and his wife get shot in the back when she takes off running?
So they never found. I don't think they've found them to this
Neither
day.
one.
They've never found the guns
one of the
that were
guns.
used. That's something so fucking weird. Is like 2 different guns were used to kill him.
Yeah.
Like you think for a second, like he shoots Paul, right? Because I think he shot Paul first, and
Yeah.
then Maggie started to run. Why would you go get a different gun?
Right. And at the same time, he was the one that called 911 too. So within that short period of time of like, would they give it like a 10-15 minute window of him like them dying and then police being called?
Got rid of the guns.
What's the time frame from when police arrive on the scene? Like where, how do you get rid of the guns that fast? That's what it always like kind of made me believe that there had to have been somebody else.
He also had a different shirt that they couldn't find either.
Yeah.
That was supposed to have DNA on it.
Yeah.
The 2 guns thing has just always stuck with me about this shit. It's like, why would you, like, he kills him, like, I've tried to picture it, and then Maggie starts running. He just says, you know what?
Well, yeah, because one of them was a shotgun and the other one was a rifle. So it's like it's not like
Did
you
she
just
get
go,
away
like,
far
boom
enough?
with a shotgun and then pull a handgun from your hip and shoot her. It's
Maybe
like,
she got away.
boom, and then pick up another one like long rifle, like it just.
Yeah, maybe she got far enough to where the shotgun wouldn't have reached. Maybe.
And that was one of my thoughts too. But
And
like I've
and
said it
they were
multiple
good
times,
shots.
it just pulls you in so many different directions with all these allegations, with
So
everything
fucked.
leading up to it. It's like, what really happened, man? Maybe
So
we'll never
insane.
know.
Yeah, so when he shot Maggie, he shot her, walked up to her, then shot her more. Like, cold-blooded, dude. Bad. It's a bad.
It was savage, bro.
Alright.
Like several other Alex Murdaugh documentaries before it, Murdaugh Murders brings up the curious case of Stephen Smith. Smith was a high school classmate of Murdaugh's son Buster and was found dead from blunt force trauma on the side of the road in 2015. The case was ruled as a hit and run and no arrests were ever made. Smith was one of the few openly gay individuals in his school. He was a known associate and occasional friend of Buster, and several interviews in Murdaugh Murders mentioned slight rumors that the pair had a romantic relationship. Following the deaths of Mallory Beach, Paul Murdaugh, and Maggie Murdaugh, SLED elected to reopen the Stephen Smith case. While SLED and other documentaries the world over delve into the circumstances of Smith's death, there is currently no public-facing evidence for the Murdaugh's family involvement in his murder. Or at least there's no evidence as strong as the evidence in the other murders.
Yeah, I'm curious to fucking see what happens with that shit.
Well, yeah, and then they even mentioned at the end of the second season that there's still like pending investigations into all of this stuff.
Supposedly the hit and run was he didn't get hit with the actual. I mean, he got hit with the vehicle, but the blunt force trauma was from like a fucking side mirror.
Yeah.
Like they hit him with a mirror. crazy.
And I didn't know that they said that he might have had a relationship with Buster.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
That's crazy.
I had heard that, but I don't think I heard that on one of the series on Netflix. I think I heard it in like a podcast or
Which is that kind of
a news station.
Was
Something.
he gonna come out and start, saying that Buster was gay or what? And then he just goes and murks him off, like.
Or he knew family secrets that he wasn't supposed to know.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Dude,
You never know.
it really is crazy. Like.
It's a web, dude.
A rabbit hole.
Well, and now that's one of the crazy things that when they put him on the stand, he said we weave a tangled web, and I think that like really irked the judge. You could tell because when he went to sentencing,
The
said,
judge brought that up.
what did you mean by that? And he's like, well, when I lied, I had to continue lying. And it's like, never have to keep lying.
No.
You never
Snowball,
have to lie
Snowball liar.
from the get-go.
Yeah.
As if this immense trail of bodies and financial crimes weren't enough to capture the public's attention, this story has one final wait what moment to really drive things home. In September of 2021, things weren't really going well for Alec Murdaugh. His son, wife, and housekeeper were all dead. Evidence of his prolific financial misdeeds had now come to light. He had almost single-handedly brought down his family's shining, century-long dynasty. Perhaps that's why Murdaugh apparently attempted suicide in a roundabout way. On September 4th, 2021, Murdaugh called 911 to report that he had been shot in the head and while he was changing a tire on the side of the road. Ultimately, the wound was just a graze and Murdaugh had been released from the hospital that day. 10 days later, SLED uncovered that Curtis Edward Smith, an associate of Murdaugh and his oxycodone dealer, had been hired by Murdaugh to kill him. Murdaugh admitted that the events had been assisted suicide schemes so his son Buster would still receive $10 million upon his death.
Jesus. Which, that dude's hilarious.
Yeah.
Or Cousin Eddie or whatever
Yeah.
they call him. That dude, like, he's in the series and that you could just tell he's a straight liar.
Nothing like killing one son and setting the other up for success.
Goes back to what I said, Paul was the black sheep, Buster was the fucking shining star, He wanted to set Buster up. He was a fucking pillhead. He hated his life. His world fucking crumbled. So least he could do was fucking give Buster the world.
Yeah.
So we don't have much left outside of that. But Alec did get found guilty
Yep.
and has
Sentenced
to
to
serve
life.
2 consecutive life sentences.
Didn't he file an
He is
appeal?
trying to appeal the case.
He
I think it
is-
was approved. I think he's getting a new trial.
He is getting a new trial. Yeah.
So I wonder if they have anything to even back it up.
I don't think the defense. I think it was.
How are they going to find a jury that doesn't know anything about this case is my question.
Yeah, I think the reasoning was like evidence tampering or something like that. But
Hmm.
really, I don't think the defense has anything.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna have much.
You can't really defend the man when he's caught lying,
Yeah.
and you
He was
can
at
put
the scene of the
him
crime
at the scene
within
of the
minutes of
crime.
dying.
Yeah, you can't physically put. That's another thing. The defense is pointing their fingers at Curtis Smith as the shooter.
Yeah.
You can't physically put him there,
No.
but you can put Alex there.
Yeah, that dude, and he might have had something to do with it, cause that dude, like, he seems like he sells like used cars or something. The way he was talking.
Yeah, I mean, he'd been doing odd jobs for the family for
Yeah.
years.
The odd job, yeah. And when they're asking him about it, you can tell he's like scrambling a little bit. He's like, yeah, I used to dig ditches and do yard work, and it's like, yeah. So he's paying you racks and racks and racks, and
Someone said it was $20,000 a month in oxycodone.
Oh no, he said they asked him direct questions like, "Did you kill Paul Murdaugh?" Nope.
no.
Did you? Why did you have all these checks from Alex Murdaugh? Oh, because he just wrote them to me and told me to cash them, and then I just gave him the money. Like, what sense
He
does
kind
that
of,
make?
remember
well, he
that
kind of
shit.
started acting like the victim too. Like he was like, I wanted to get out of it for a long time. He's like,
Mhm.
he's like, what he said. He said something like, I could have told any like lawman or any attorney for 4 or 5 counties from here, and they would have thought I was crazy.
Someone on Court TV was saying, like, why in the world would you volunteer to go on that Netflix documentary and literally tell the entire fucking spill, the entire story?
And everything that comes out of your mouth just
That's literal
screams
cousin
lie.
Eddie behavior.
Literally.
Yeah, so Murdaugh's, man. All I can say is, I'm glad that the main, like the culprit behind the whole thing is behind bars, and hopefully this polarizing family can be cut right there.
Yeah.
Like no more.
The only
injustice.
family I feel bad for in any of this is the Beach family.
The Beach
They did
family,
not get
the
their justice.
Satterfield family, the Steven
Okay,
Smith's
so
family.
there's more families, but most importantly, the Mallory Beach
is
family.
very highlighted.
Her family got no justice whatsoever.
Yeah.
A lot of damage done, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Follow the socials. I'm not gonna give. I was talking to Erica about this earlier. Every episode, I kind of give away what we're gonna do the following week. I'm not gonna do that no more. I want people to be just like. I want to release like the thumbnail or the trailer the day before.
All right.
Boom.
I'm cool with that.
This is what we're gonna do.
I like surprises.
That's what we're gonna do.
All right.
See you guys next week.